in our last video, we have seen, how to read the file from S3, right? So we know, right? So whenever the file comes into the S3 and this particular bucket, so the Lambda will be triggered, right? As soon as the Lambda will be triggered, so what we'll get is we'll get the name of the bucket and we'll get the name of the file. With those information, we are reading the file from the S3 bucket, and then with the required information, we are calling our machine learning model, which is deployed in EC2 server, right? So what we just need is a data. So the tweet data, because that is what we want to predict, whether it's in positive or negative, right? I mean, the customer is happy or not happy, right? And what are the response we got from the machine learning model, either we'll get positive or negative, right? And then we are putting that message in a SQS queue, so that there will be some other Lambda which will be triggering that SQS queue, and whenever the message comes into that particular queue, that Lambda will be triggered, right? So now here we have two Lambdas, and the current Lambda which you're seeing now, this Lambda will be triggered whenever the file comes into the S3 bucket, right? And there will be another Lambda which will be triggered whenever the data comes to the SQS, right? And in this current Lambda, we are writing the data into SQS, right? So based on the predictions from the machine learning algorithm, that particular data we are writing in SQS, right? And what we are writing, so we are writing the prediction status, whether the positive or negative. We're writing the the username and also the tweet ID, right, into the SQS. Now I have one more Lambda. This is the Lambda which I'm talking about. So we know how to create triggers, right? So for this particular Lambda, our trigger is S3. We just need to say add trigger, right? So add trigger. So in our case, it is in SQS. I already selected it, I'm just showing you. And I need to select my tweet name, sorry, the SQS queue name, right? So which I already did. Let me cancel this. Now it's loading. Yeah, so two things I need to do with this Lambda, right? Let me open the PowerPoint. Here we go. Yeah, this is our architecture diagram, right? So in this Lambda, once this is the Lambda which will call our machine learning model. So based on the response, we are writing the data in SQS. As soon as we write the data in SQS, there will be other Lambda which will be triggered. Now what this Lambda does, it does two jobs. One is it will write the data into RDS. RDS is nothing but one of the AWS services where you can host RDBMS database. In our case, we are using MySQL, right? Along with that, it has to retweet back to the customer whether it's happy or not based on the condition, right? Now in this video, what we'll do is we'll see how to read this data from SQS, right, and store the data in RDS, so which is MySQL in our case, right? So I already created a trigger, we know. So whatever the data our Lambda comes, that will be in the event, right? So now we know the end-to-end cycle, right? So let me go to the PPT again. So we have one more Python code that runs on EC2 server. Whenever the tweet comes on the particular hashtag, we'll get the data and we'll put in S3, right? From here, everything is triggered. As so the file comes in S3, this Lambda will be triggered, it will ML and SQS, so on so, right? Now what we'll do is we'll try to play some file in S3, right, which has some tweet information. Obviously the remaining steps will be triggered, right? So here we go. So before that, let me pull my SQL workbench. Let me see if I have any data here. It's running, so there's no information here. Let me copy this and I'm pasting back into the same folder, right? So obviously whenever the file comes, our first Lambda will be triggered. This particular Lambda will be triggered. We are writing it, we are calling our machine learning model, right? Not sure if it is already triggered. It must be triggered by now. Anyways, we can always check the logs. Yeah, it is triggered. the log should be created for the other Lambda service, which will be pulling, here we go. It's still loading. No issues. So now, by now, we should get the record in MySQL Workbench. Did you see? We got it, right? So, as I told you, right, any data will be in the event. So I'm just printing the event. So this is my information, right? So in this, what we need a body. So under the records, right? Sorry, under the records, we have a body. Body is the place where I have the actual message that is, posted in SQS. That's what I'm doing. The records, I'm taking the body, and what I'm doing is I created one more, Python file here, where I'm using PyMySQL package, which will help to connect to the MySQL database, where I'm providing all my details, and this is my query, insert query. I'm running it and I'm committing it, right? So only thing left in this part is, if you see this architecture diagram, so other than writing the data in RDS, I also need to retweet it into Twitter, which I'll cover in our next video. So don't worry, once that particular part is done, we'll try to run one end-to-end flow and see how it works, right? I'll also try to create, the charts, maybe some dashboards based on the data on my database, right? And very important thing which I wanted to cover here is, if you remember when we are talking about the Lambda very first time in this series, right? So I said we cannot use any other libraries other than the libraries that comes with the Python installation. Let's say when you install Python, you won't get pandas, you won't get PyMySQL, you get nothing. So what we'll do, we'll say pip install PyMySQL, pip install pandas. But in Lambdas, we don't have that feature. So we have to do it in a different way, right? We have to build this PyMySQL package manually, and then we need to create a layer. So don't worry, I'll make a separate video how to do all these things. But for now, remember that this PyMySQL is a package which I built, and then I used it on my layer. So hope you enjoyed this video, right? As I said, in our next video, we'll see how to retweet it using TweetPy package. So till then, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you.